Hey everybody, it's ARE, Activities Recovery Empowerment. I'm Ann Monroe and I'm here with the Peer Support Specialist Dream Team. This is just a handful of our certified peer support specialists that we have working at ARE in Jackson and Hillsdale counties in Michigan. And we have Andy Webb, who, there he is, Andy, and Terry Tillman. And give us oh, there's Terry. And then we have Jessica Herr and Betty Romaine, who are together in Jess's office. And we're going to talk a little bit about peer support. What is formal peer support? How is formal peer support different from hanging out with your friends? And how is it also different from the other kind of clinical services that you might find at a community mental health organization? First of all, Sherry Mead says that peer support is a system of giving and receiving help founded on key principles of respect, shared responsibility, and a mutual agreement on what is helpful. One of the main things that's different about peer support is that it's not based on a clinical kind of diagnostic criteria. It's about connecting people who have similar lived experiences and can support one another. So let's talk about what peers are in a general sense. So when we talk about peers, we're talking about somebody that has some similarities to ourselves. And if we're talking about informal peer groups, what kinds of things are peer groups for you?
Oh, it could be a giant variety. It could be anything from like your library book club to your gaming buddies online that you get online with and decide to play games with, or big ones for video groups. A lot of people did video groups during a lot of this COVID stuff, getting together and finding ways to do that. Things like Dungeons and Dragons came back. That massively exploded over COVID, people getting back together and playing those because they had nothing to do. And they're like, hey, let's make up our own amazing stories and have fun together.
Yeah. When I was first divorced, I belonged to a group of people who were newly divorced. So yeah, so that kind of peer group where people understand what you're going through, and they can be fun, they can be supportive. And then in the mental health system, we're talking about peer support. Those of us who have a lived experience with a mental health diagnosis or extreme states, then we can come alongside other people who are going through that same kind of issue in their life. Let's look at what is peer-to-peer support. Something that happens naturally for everyone. And it's not clinical, right? It's a way of relating to one another.
Right.
And some of us have had peer support. Some of us have only had clinical, interactions with our therapists or our doctors. I know, Betty, you had peer support before you became a peer support specialist.
Yeah.
How is that different for you?
Because my peer support person had lived experience like I had, where my clinical therapist was getting everything out of a book or education or whatever. So it was easier to relate to my peer support specialist because she had lived experience.
Right. She'd been there. Yeah. And we're going to talk now about formalized peer support. But even when it's formalized, even when the peer support specialist has had that certification training and knows how to write progress notes and things like that, it still needs to be as free from power differentials as possible. How is formal peer support unique? So the first one is mutuality. What does mutuality mean to you guys?
It's collaborative. It's not something that we do for someone. It's something that we do with someone. Yeah. It's in real time doing real things. It's not we don't come to our peers with an agenda. We come to them to go work on the things they want to work on. It's not something that we bring to them. It's something we come and do with them.
The next one here is change agent, and we're talking about those of us who are in peer roles being a change agent within the system as well. That we are advocating for people with mental health diagnoses within the system. Has anyone had experience having to do that or being able to have the opportunity to do that?
I think we probably all have. It can be attending a doctor's appointment with someone to help them. They might feel that they can't explain to their doctor why their medication doesn't work for them. Or maybe they would like to make some changes and they're afraid to take that to their team because they're not being heard. Having someone sit beside you instead of across a desk often is enough to help people advocate for themselves. And we model that by showing our peers the best way to talk about things and to approach things, because many of our peers have been in this system long enough that they don't ask questions. They just assume that their team knows the best for them. But as we have learned, and we all, I think, would agree, no one knows ourselves like we know ourselves.
Right, we are the expert on ourselves. Terry, you're nodding your head about that. Have you had that experience? You're one of our newer peer support specialists. Have you seen that happen so far?
Absolutely. I've noticed a lot of people, when it comes to especially the clinician part aspects of their life, where they world, whatever their situations are, they seem a little bit intimidated. They'll tell me all of these things that they would like to tell their psychologists or their doctors, but they say that the person won't listen. So yeah, peer support sometimes is allowing them a platform to speak what's in their heart, or they could acknowledge what they want to say, and then, it empowers them to go back and say it. If they need assistance, someone to sit with them, we can do that as well. But more so, helping them find their voice, just address the things that's important to them.
Yeah, I love that phrase you used, to have someone to sit with them, because really that's what we do, is we sit with them, in a larger sense. So let's talk about how peer support is different from other professions. The first one is that we have unique expertise, because we might have education, but that's not where our expertise lies, right? Your expertise lies in your lived experience. And then the purveyors of hope, having been in a situation where maybe the people you're serving are in right now, and having moved a little bit further in your recovery, that's hopeful.
I want to say, as far as the ex-felon population or ex-con population goes, having someone to relate to, live through it, come through it, experience it, getting back integrated into society is a process that, you can use help. Help is great in every way you can get it. A lot of people can't relate. A lot of people can tell you what they feel you should do or how you should feel, but I know how it feels, and it feels great when you're talking to someone that's been through it. It can better guide you through it, or that goes along with a lot of trauma. That's kind of the point. Peering and a mutual way of progressing through the trauma or whatever we went through. So
Yeah, absolutely. I really think that that's the power of peer support. Examples of ways peer specialists model recovery. One of the things is sharing self-care techniques that have helped us in our own recovery, helping individuals prioritize and reprioritize goals. And Jess said, I think it was Jess that said, they set their own goals. The people that you're working with set their own goals. And so then working to kind of prioritize and help to prioritize. Support the informed choices. I know one of the things that occurs quite frequently is that we give maybe more information to the people we're working with than other professionals that they might be talking to.
I think that that's one of the beauties of peer support is we take all of our experiences, all the things that we have gone through, and all of the resources that we've been able to use, and we can show someone that it's very daunting to have someone hand you a list and say, here you go, across the desk, here you go, you take this will help you find some food or some housing resources. You just call one of these 600 numbers and wait on hold until you can connect with somebody. It's a whole lot different than if I say to my peer, hey, I'll meet you at Salvation Army. They'll have some food there and we can get some resources. That is teaching, that's helping that person get to a point where they're taking those steps on their own. You meet them there. There's safety in numbers. When you're newly diagnosed, that is the whole focus of everything in your life, and everything changes. The color of everything is different. Being able to meet with somebody who's doing that already, has already walked through some of this, gives you a peace of mind. It helps you not be afraid and timid. It gives you that strength to be able to reach out for yourself and take those steps the next time on your own.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so we're trying to keep this kind of short and sweet. So we're going to talk about the next steps for getting peer support, and then we're going to say goodbye. But if you're interested in peer support, now you know some people who are doing peer support, who are peer supporters. But in Michigan, peer services are a Medicaid B3 service. And so that means we need to have a referral from the Community Mental Health Association in Jackson and Hillsdale. That's Lifeways. So if you're interested in peer support, let your Lifeways provider know that you're interested.
You can ask your case manager for a referral to peer support. Once we've accepted that referral, we have an intake specialist that contacts you within just a couple of days, tries to set up an intake. That gives you kind of an overview of everything that we can offer and the things that we don't, because there's definitely peer support's definitely unique, much different than most of the other services.
Well, thank you, everybody, and I hope that this has cleared up some questions and maybe opened up some more questions that maybe we can answer in the future. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.